Hello. Due to popular demand, we're back again to show you some of the things you never saw in my interviews. A few things behind the scene, which my editor kindly cut out, otherwise we probably wouldn't be here today. But since it's gone so well, we're going to show you some of them. Well, our first sportsman was Jack Charlton. All the success and everything he's had with Ireland, we thought it'd be great to have a little afternoon in his world. As you know, he's out of the football now, but still very much into the Guinness. So we went to Waxy O'Connell's, sat him down, and sort of pretended we wanted to know all about his book.
Hi, we're in the heart of London, in an absolutely typical Irish pub. The reason we're in here at Waxy O'Connor's is for this man. Sitting next to me, legend in his own right, Jackie, Big Jack. Hi, Jack.
Thank you, Vinny. Nice to see you. Cheers, son.
A lot of people would probably think our first interview was on the banks of the river somewhere, having a fish.
Well, I've heard you're a famous fisherman, and I've never seen you fishing yet. I've never even seen whether you can do it or not.
See, that's what you got to do, isn't it?
Well, having talked to you a couple of times, you don't know very much about it.
So, you're not in the game now, and you've got your book out. You've got your book out now.
The book's taken. If anybody had asked me if I wanted a job over the last 6-9 months, I would have said I haven't got time because I've been at that all the time. And I mean, there's a tremendous amount of work put into a book. I mean, I've got to. I may not have actually written it, but I've got to clear every word and clear every sentence and make sure that it'll be done in the way I wanted to do it. And I've been through it and through it and through it and altered it and gone back to it and added some more of this and a little bit less of that. And it really is a time consumer. I mean, I couldn't have taken the job anyway if I'd have wanted one, not that I want one.
And did you pack up with this in mind to go and do the book? Or did you just think you couldn't have gone no further with the team?
No, I didn't know. The book never came into the thing. I just had 10 years with the Irish. Felt it was time that I had a change. I sort of sowed the seeds after the World Cup in America. And said I would take them through the European Championships, and the moment we were out, that I would resign. Which is exactly what I did.
And what were the boys saying to you? Like my mates, Andy Townsend and that?
I didn't say much of it. Well, I didn't actually, because when I went to resign, they asked me to go and do it 2 days before Christmas, and I said, no, I'll do it in the new year. But they said, no, we want to get it done now, you know, so we can get things organised in the new year. So I really haven't seen the lads from the game that we played in Liverpool. I just saw them after the game when I was still manager and left. And I hadn't seen them again since. And then I went over for a game, and I would have seen them then, but my mother died on the day when I arrived in Dublin. So I had to fly back home again. So I never got to saw them, and I haven't, apart from seeing Andy and one or two of the lads, I've seen Terry Phelan, Dennis. I've seen quite a few of them, but not collectively to say I enjoyed it with you. You know, like you shake hands with them and say, well, all the best we'll make, look after him and make sure that he does right. And do it.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to have a reunion with the boys?
Well, yeah, I'll probably go over for the next game in Dublin, and then I might call in the hotel and have a word. And
do you think?
But I don't want to get too close, because it's Mick's job now, and I've got to stay out of the way.
And he's a nice fella. He's a good fella.
Great man.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh yes.
Why do you think Joe turned it down?
I didn't know Joe did turn it down. Did he turn it down, or did he?
He didn't think he was ready for it in his stage of his career.
Well, Joe's doing very well at Wimbledon, and he's terrific at the moment, by the way. Great stuff.
Yeah.
I'm delighted for Joe, because Joe is a good thinker about football. And he thinks along the lines that I think, that, you know, you've got to play to the strengths of what you've got, and you've got to provide a way of playing that suits them, rather than just take this attitude that we're just going to play football. And who knows what football is. So I've always been a great admirer of Joe. And he's a good pal anyway. I've had a few pints with him on the odd occasion.
Yeah. And what about your team talk? I mean, our team talk, we do our tactics in the week, sure.
Yes.
But then, basically, from the boys get in, say, an hour and a half before the game, and it is basically motivating the boys, getting them in the right frame of mind.
That's right.
How did you go about yours, even in the World Cup?
Well, I did it in very much the same way. You always have your team talk, and you go through the opposition and you read through all the things that you would take notice of when you've gone and watched the team play, and give them as much information about it as you possibly can. And then it's down to, I used to do it individually. Like when the lads went out before a game to kick around and do their warm-up thing, I would then go out with them. And then if I wanted to spend 5 minutes with you, or 5 minutes with Andy Townsend, or 5 minutes with Paddy Bonner, about what I expected and how I wanted to approach the game, as an individual, that's the time I would do it as close to the game as possible. And then have a little think, when they're all sat around in the dressing room getting warmed up and ready to go, say, sit down, think. The game's played with your head, not your heart. And think about what your responsibilities are, what the jobs you've got to do are, and just sit there and relax, because you know the way they are, leaping all over the place. And get them sat down and relaxed. And then you can sort of say, there's only a couple of 3 things that I need to talk to you about, and I need to point out to you that will be important to the game today. Then you would leave the relevant and the most important points about the opposition to that last minute, so that they go on clear what you're expecting of them that night.
And do you think they surprised you? Did the boys surprise you what they achieved?
Not really. I mean, I think they underachieved at times, because we had a lot of good players. I mean, people like Frank Stapleton and Tony Galvin, who were with us in the early days, Liam Brady. I mean, although we had a lot of good players, we also lacked maybe the odd 2 or 3 that would just lift you into that. But with the effort and the organisation we had with it, it worked out very well, and we got results out of all sorts of teams. I mean, Ireland actually beat Brazil. I mean, and Ireland beat Ireland, and Ireland beat Italy, and Ireland beat this.
I was in Italy that night. I was in the World Cup, the first game. I was on my stag do in Ireland, in Cork, when Ray Alton scored, beaten 1-0. You should have just, after that game, you should have flown home. You should have seen it. It was as if you just won the FA Cup finals.
Right.
It's like you'd won it.
That's right.
And did you know, did that?
We had no idea. I mean, we were in America, and although it was a huge party and it was a huge stadium and it was a full house and there was a lot of Irish there, and we met a lot of them we went to the race course afterwards, just round the back, and we had a great chat. I mean, all the Irish were there was a parties going on. But when we went back to the hotels, and then I flew off to Washington to watch a game, and the lads flew back to Orlando, and then you get back into the hotel, you sort of lose contact with what's going on back home. Yeah. It's only when a day or 2 later you get all the chat and all the crack and everything coming back from Ireland, and the papers start to arrive, and somebody come in and give you a paper and what it was like, and you get the picture. But you never really, when you're involved in a competition, you never really get the emotion of it or the enjoyment out of it, because you're preparing all the time. Yeah, you finish a game, you're preparing. You finish a game, you're preparing. You're looking at the next game. But it was nice that the Irish enjoyed what we did.
Do you think that was the best part of your career? You've been manager.
I had great times with the Irish, but I also had great times with Leeds. And I had great times with England. I mean, I've had a very, very lucky career. But then again, people say you make your own luck, don't they?
I do. I think you do.
Yeah, you make your own luck. And I've worked very hard at my business, and I've worked very hard at football. And I think I'm pretty clued up on the game. I can talk to anybody in the world about it. I'll discuss it with anybody. But only if I think they know what they're talking about. You know, people that don't know really about football, I can't talk to them too long.
Does your head in?
Oh, I just mean I can't do it.
And what about the World Cup? What was that like?
The World Cup in America, you mean?
No, when you won it. Do you remember that in '66?
Oh, that one. That was 30 years ago. I was getting mixed up. We've gone from the Irish to the English now. Oh, the World Cup in '66 was a special day for me. I mean, I'd only been in the England team about a year before it happened. So I was comparatively new lad, you know, and to go in and to win a competition like that, which makes you a world champion, is something a bit special.
Was your brother already in there? Was he?
Yeah, Bobby was well established. I mean, there were people like Jimmy Greaves who was well established. They were all great international players. And there were people like me and Nobby came in late, Alan Ball and Martin Peters. We all came late to the event. In fact, Jeff Hurst and Roger were all sort of made their name in about the last year of our preparation. So it was all new to all of us, but it was a great experience. I mean, it's one.
Did you go there?
I remember.
Did you go there to win it, or like when you went into it, you prepared for it, and you had your games coming up? Did you want to just do well and not be embarrassed, or did you think, oh, we can win this?
Well, you go at stages, really. I mean, once you qualified through the first stage, you felt you had achieved something. That's the way I felt, anyway. I don't know how about the other players, but I felt whatever happens now, we've achieved something. We've qualified. And then when you get through the quarter-final and you get into the semi-final and you get through them and then you're in the final, I honestly thought we would win it because we played Germany twice in the year and a bit leading up to that.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd beaten them twice. So there was not a great deal for us to fear in the Germans. And we went and did it again. So, although it was a bit tighter than some of us would have liked. But the game itself was... the final itself
did it go like that?
Was it real?
Was it over?
Was it real? Well,
the minute you, like in your mind, was it? It was just over.
When you're winning, it lasts a long time. When you're losing, when you're winning, it lasts a long time. When you're losing, it goes over like lightning. And I don't remember very much about the first game. I don't remember much about the second game, the second half. I remember the extra time better than all of it. I mean, the extra time was a little. Very tired.
Very tired.
I remember being very tired and thinking, I hope this ball doesn't get played down there because I'm too knackered to run for it. But then I forgot the guy that I was playing against was as knackered as I was, and he couldn't run for it either.
Mind over matter.
Yeah.
And where is the medal?
It's in a plastic bag, hidden at home.
Is it?
Yeah. I get it out occasionally when people come to the house and want to see it. So I get it out and I show it to them, and I look at it myself. It's only a little, it's shaped like a coffin. It's not a round medal, it's shaped like a coffin. And it came in I always remember when the Queen handed it over to us after the final. It was in a red and black cardboard case. I mean, it wasn't in a nice case.
Nice case.
It's in a cardboard case, and the cardboard case disintegrated within months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you've just got the medal. And it's with all the other valuable medals, all the gold ones are all.
You haven't got a big trophy cabinet at home then?
No, he doesn't have that.
No.
He doesn't have that. I mean, if I ever got broken into when they pinched all that stuff and some silly bugger would have melted all
I do exactly the same. Mine's in the safe at home, and as you say, people come round and I get out and show them. I've often thought sometimes I might put it to good use because I've got all the memories and all the paper cuts and everything. Have you ever thought of, say, I'm going to give this to charity?
I did say to the wife once that having spent all my career at Leeds United, and they've got a huge cabinet with all the trophies in and everything. And I did say to Pat, I might give it to Leeds United and let them put it on display, you know, so people can see it. And she said, oh, no, you don't, you know. She said, I said, well, it would always be mine and I could get it back. She said, somebody might pinch it from there. She said, no, it belongs to our John, he's the oldest lad. So when I die, and my three kids start picking what they want, John starts first because he's the oldest, then Debbie, and then Peter, and then John, and then Debbie, and then Peter, and then John. So they go down the list.
So what about Leeds United? I think, for me, it's a big imprint on my life. Leeds was. I was only there a year and a half.
Yeah. Well,
I used to see you at some of the dues there.
Yeah, how did the people take to you?
Magnificent.
Yeah, they're good
Even
people.
now, when I go back now, as a player, say at Wimbledon,
They don't smile at me.
I get a standing ovation. But then you must get standing ovations wherever you go.
That's a rarity for you. You normally get gestures.
Yeah, one finger gestures. But did you leave Leeds United as a player and play there?
No, I never went back to play, no. I just left him as a player and then I went straight into management. I became manager at Middlesbrough. And then you're totally focused in with Middlesbrough. But we were in the second division then, and then we got into the first division the following year. Then we had Leeds United to play in matches, and for the next 3 years. Yeah. So, but I always wanted to beat them then, which is the way you are. You sell, you know, no loyalty to the club you've left. Right. It's all to the club you go to.
And what about in the book you say about your brother? I mean,
to be honest, I don't want to embarrass our kid. There was a piece written in the papers months and months ago. It's all been rehashed this again. I didn't want to do anything in the book about my relationship with my brother. It's not good, but I don't want to embarrass him anymore. And I really, I mean, we've gone with different ways. We lived a different type of life. He lives his life, I live my life.
But from the outside,
the only thing we've ever fallen out over was over, you know, the family at home.
Yeah.
But I don't want to embarrass him anymore. I don't want to.
Well, he might bring a book out and have a go back at you.
Well, that's what I said in the book. If I'll have my say now, but he can have his say when he does his. I mean, but I've tried to keep it as low as I could. I don't want any hassle over it. And, you know, I don't want to upset him anymore.
Was he ever in the Black Book?
No.
Did you ever have his brother in the Black Book?
No. There weren't many. About half a dozen. Well, you know. You'll have half a dozen.
Yeah, there was some that you think, yeah. I'll wait my time. Sometimes you get carried away, you know what I mean? Did you get sent off?
Well, that's one of the hazards of playing in the game today, the fact that referees are instructed to interpret things in a certain way and they've no choice. The choice of referees is gone now. They have got to toe the line and do as they're told.
I mean, nowadays, if you make a tackle and it's late, I mean, must have been the same. What people don't realise, when you're defending good players, technically are good, you go to make your tackle and they're good enough to just move that ball at the last minute. Nowadays, you're hard men, you're animals.
It's not even that last minute, it's that last 100th of a second. Once you're committed to a tackle and once you're committed to something, I mean, I've seen you a few times go for things when you could have stopped, but you went. Now that's out of order. But once you've gone, there's no way you can stop. And if the guy shifts to the yard or perks it away a couple of feet, and then you go and you take him, there's nothing you can do about it because you're on your way. Now, I agree with that. But you have committed the odd little
wrong one,
things that I would never have done.
Yeah. And what about the friendship with the English FA then?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know him. I mean, I don't know anything about the English FA very much. I've not been involved with it.
It says in your book that they never replied when you, in '77 when you asked about the England job.
Well, it was a strange thing. I mean, I got a phone call from a couple of guys who said to me that they had been asked to ask me if I would apply. So I did. I wrote a nice letter in long handwriting, and best I could, addressed it, and I know where to send it. Sent it off, and I never got a reply. People are surprised at that today. It surprised me at the time because at least I thought I would have got a reply saying, no, we're not interested. Oh, thank you for your letter. Nothing. Not a word. And that's the only job I ever applied for in my life. You tell me.
I don't think it's worth asking you if you've got any regrets. I don't think you're that sort of fella. Have you?
I think I should have stayed at Middlesbrough for another year and spent some of the money that I made for them. And I think Middlesbrough might have been good enough to have won something. Because we had good players. We had people like David Armstrong, Bobby Murdoch, we had Graham Souness. We had a lot of Willie Madden, a lot of good players. And maybe if I'd have strengthened the team, we might have been pushing for a title the next year, or winning something. But I felt after 4 years, it was time for a change. So I left. Never outstay your welcome.
It's easy to say.
You've done that a few.
Loads of times. So what is your life now then, Jack? You're fishing? Is that your life? You're fishing and you're shooting?
Well, I would like to think so, but I've done no shooting this year at all.
Well, this book, when you finish with this book, say in 3 weeks' time, all your press and everything, that's all done then?
Yeah.
What is Jack Charlton going to do for the
by
rest
the time
of
I
his life?
finish, the fishing's finished. I mean, it finishes at the end of October, most of us.
Yeah, but what are you going to do?
The Tweed goes on until the end of November, so I'll probably go up on the Tweed for a couple of days, another few days, and then the shooting starts. I'll get a few invites to different shoots, and I still enjoy having the day out, and when I've got the time. But I'm also doing a lot of dinners and appearances and all sorts of things.
Is it hard to pick out the ones you want to do? Because you must get, I get loads of them, and you have to do things close to your heart, or
Well, do you think I owe them a favour? If it's Leeds United, I always try
yeah,
to do
well,
things.
dinners and things, I'll always do them for people that have played for me. Like if a lad's have the testimony that played for me, like then I'll go and help them out and I'll do a dinner for them.
Yeah.
And various charities a year, I'm committed to do it. You know, like I have to do a dinner for fundraise this. I've got a charity of my own called the Disabled Anglers Trust, and I'll do a few dinners a year, and instead of taking a fee, pass it on to the Disabled Anglers Trust. You know, so that we take the lads out fishing. They're all fishermen. We only do fishing, but it gives them a few days and a place to go. And we have to look at the venues very carefully, because when you're in wheelchairs, and we encourage people in wheelchairs and badly handicapped people to get them out, and to get them out by a river or by the edge of a lake. You've got to have the right sort of an area to do it in, otherwise you put them at risk. And then we've got to have somebody looking after them all the time they're doing it. And I love it, I enjoy it, because I've been doing it for what, about 10, 12 years now. And I got a lot of friends. A lot of the disabled lads are good lads, and I like to see them.
So, we've got a lot in common. Our lives, you know, with the fishing and shooting, Leeds and internationals and winning cups. So
I'm not sure people would expect me to appreciate the same. You say to me, we've got a lot in common.
And the same haircuts. But Jazz, I mean, it's been absolutely superb.
Actually, can I say one thing to you? All the bad publicity you've had over the years and all the things you've said, I don't know any Townsend and one or two of the lads that know you. And although we've just seen each other and met on the odd occasion, just say hello. They say what a smashing lad Vinnie is, you like him when you meet him. And it's the first time we've had a chat, and I like Vinnie.
Well, we'll have a chat when you invite me fishing. Come back a couple of weeks' time when hopefully we'll be fishing somewhere, and I'll try and teach them how to fish.
That would be the day.
Well, my next interview was a lesson in boxing. And it came, of course, from Mickey Duff. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, pleasure.
Got to ask you the question that all the boys want to know in the pubs. Who was the greatest?
The greatest heavyweight of all time? Without a doubt, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali?
Yeah, I haven't the slightest doubt. And then there isn't even a close contender, including Mike Tyson.
Not even now? Would you not compare them now? Would you say, how would they get on now then? How would you say now?
I think if there's one boxer that was made to measure style-wise for Muhammad Ali, that was Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is exactly, almost identical in style to Joe Frazier. More power, a better puncher, but not as busy. And he made even the great Muhammad Ali look better than he really was. Mm. I mean, I know he lost to him once and then they fought again, but overall, you saw everything that you could see in a fighter that was great in Muhammad Ali that day, particularly as a heavyweight. If you ask me whether Muhammad Ali was the greatest fighter of all time at any weight, my answer would be no. I would say that Sugar Ray Robinson was a better fighter than him, and Willie Pep was a better fighter than him. They were both far more superior technically.
And who would obviously Muhammad Ali was a crowd puller. Who would pull the biggest crowds, him or Tyson? I suppose in heavyweights, it's always going to be Muhammad Ali and Tyson, isn't it?
It's always going to be that way, but you know, to ask me that question is really, it's not a fair question, because Muhammad Ali became a daily affair, or a weekly affair, or a monthly affair, if you like. He boxed so often, he'd have 8-10 fights in a year. You don't hear of fighters having it. It takes them 4 months to arrange to have a fight now.
Well, if you say you're Don King and you must see the signs of Tyson going off the rails. You must say, "Oi, hold on, look, you're doing nobody any good here, and this is what's going to happen." Or does he just say, "Get stuffed on, it's my life, I'm doing what I want"? Well, you must have had that with boxers.
I've had it all the times. It's very difficult. You've got to remember, people tend to forget the boxer isn't the employer, and the manager, particularly the manager, even the promoter to a great extent, is the employee. If the boxer is a great attraction and he gets correctly managed, and as a result of being correctly managed, he's correctly paid, he makes far more money than the promoter. He has to, and it's only right. He's the one who takes the punches. He's the one who takes the chances. And for anybody to suggest that even Don King, who's not known to be ungreedy where money is concerned, even Don King doesn't dare take anywhere near the 30 millions and 25 millions that Mike Tyson has been winding up with after a fight. But if he clears 5 or 6 million, what's wrong with that? Hasn't taken any punches for it, and he hasn't taken any chances, and win or lose, his status remains the same.
What about the barefist fighting? Have you had anything to do with that?
No, nor would I.
Not even
No,
as a youngster, you never got brought through, you never seen?
No. I ran away from street fights. You know.
Yeah, but you had 60-odd fights yourself.
Yes, but I was what you call a professional coward.
What, hit and run?
Oh yeah, and most times I used to forget to hit, I just ran. I realised at a very young age, I always liked the intrigue of the inside of boxing. I always used to spend more time in gymnasiums arguing politics of boxing than actually training. And I realised when I was 19 that I was a capable boxer, but I certainly didn't have what it takes to make any great headway. And I decided that for me in particular, there were easier ways to make a living because I wasn't quite good enough to do what I was doing. Both amateur and professional boxing today is far too expensive to run a stage without television.
That I was going to say that. Has that been the biggest? I mean, surely in football now it has. Has that been the same with boxing?
Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Football is experiencing now what boxing first experienced 15 years ago, and has been experiencing to a greater extent as the weeks and months and years go on. It gets tougher and tougher. It is almost physically impossible to run a decent boxing show today without television of some sort.
What
And
about
still
guys then,
manages
Mick, that would say, oh, I'm going to be a boxing promoter? Do you try and keep them out, or have you got your own gang?
There's no way of keeping them out. There's no way of keeping. You get on with your own business. If they've got the ability, but besides the ability,
It's got to be the contacts as well, hasn't
yeah,
it?
they've got to have the talent available to them. If they've got the talent available to them, and they're able to sell it to a television company,
They could
then
be.
they're in business.
Yeah, sure. And what about someone that everybody will want to know about is Eubanks? What's your impression?
My friend.
A friend of yours, yeah.
No, we're not friendly at all.
Well, I did hear there was a story about you squared up with him, which takes a lot of guts. And
No,
you say?
No, never. I'm a coward by religion.
Did you not say that you send your dad round? I'll fight him.
No, he said he at a press conference he said to me, you know, you say that again, and I said, are you waiting for me to fight you? I said, send your father around, I'll fight him. I said, I'm old enough to be your father.
Would you like to have got in the ring with him when you
No.
was younger?
No. I think Chris Eubank would have beaten me on the best day I ever had and on the worst day he ever had. So there's there he succeeds. He succeeds in very little else. He succeeds in very little else. You know, there's a funny story that goes around about it. Somebody said to me once, you know, you're always fighting with him and so forth. And I said, really? I stuck up for him the other day. Somebody said he wasn't fit to sleep with a pig, and I said he was.
And I mean, that sounds a little bit like myself and Gary Lineker, the feud going on there. But do you just
no, that was said in a jocular manner. I can assure you. If I had to sum up Chris Eubank in one sentence, I would say he can't fight much, but he makes it very difficult for those that can.
And the closest person I've got to in boxing is Nigel Benn, and I used
Great
to like
fighter.
Nigel. You know, I used to go to a lot of his fights. But you know, as a, you know, the Eubanks Ben fights, you know, I was always fully rooted to Nigel. I still am.
But Nigel Benn was not at the peak of his career in those days. Nigel Benn became a much greater fighter 2 years after he fought Eubank than he was then. He was still learning his trade.
So why let him go in with him then?
Well, when you say let him go in with him, he was a challenger and he had to fight him whether he liked him or not. He was either, I think he was champion on one occasion, another time he was a challenger. They had to let them fight. You know, you can't pick and choose everybody you fight, otherwise all the fights would be rigged or something. You know, you can't do that. A man he deserves his chance, and whether you like it or not, most times you get forced into a corner and you either have to give up whatever title you hold, or you've got to defend. You've got to put up or shut up. And that's what Ben had to do. But Ben was not at his prime, in my opinion, when he fought the Eubank fights. He became a far more controlled and disciplined fighter, and he stands out. I mean, I had nothing to do with his career at all.
Would you have liked to?
Yes, very much so. And he stands out as one of the great fighters. He would have to, if you had to name the 10 best fighters this country ever produced, you couldn't leave him out. Gerald McClellan was probably one of the great fighters of all time. And those two, in my opinion, finished each other in that fight.
Yeah.
I think, well, it obviously took far too much out of McClellan. He's unfortunately finished up crippled.
What do you say when people, I mean, they do jump on the bandwagon, obviously, Mickey, but when you see people like Watson and that ending up in wheelchairs, how do you fight against that? How do you stand up for boxing and say boxing is good? You know, what is...
I managed Michael Watson for 3 years, and one of the fights I turned down on 2 occasions was Chris Eubank. Now, I don't pretend to be a clairvoyant and say that I knew that would happen. That's not true. But I always felt he was style-wise, he was a bad opponent for Michael Watson. I believe you have to compare styles to manage fighters successfully. Sometimes A beats B, B beats C, and C should beat B, but C goes along and he beats A. And it turns because of the different styles. And matching styles is a very important factor in the management of boxers. I would be a liar if I said that I felt something like that would happen. I never dreamt in a million years. But I felt it was a bad opponent for Michael Watson, and I turned him down on 2 occasions when I managed him.
And how do you deal with people saying it should be banned?
Boxing should be banned.
Do you get angry with that?
No, I don't get angry because it's a point of view that you've got to listen to.
Sure.
You can't just dismiss it and say they're talking a load of rubbish. Boxing is a dangerous
How would you
sport.
defend it then?
I defended that every man has the right, first and foremost, to live his life the way he wants to, as long as he's not interfering with other people that are innocent in what he does. If 2 boxers want to fight each other and beat the hell out of each other, it's nobody's business except those 2 boxers.
Yeah, sure, that's exactly how I feel.
And for that reason alone, I think football is in many ways more dangerous. I think there are far more injuries that we never hear about, kicks in the heads and so forth, that remain forever, you know. And it doesn't take an Einstein to become a boxer, and it certainly doesn't take an Einstein to become a footballer.
Unless you're in my case, Mickey. Obviously.
No, I mean, I think you'll be the first one to... and most kids that become successful footballers and boxing, unfortunately it's a fact of life, but most kids, it's something that they cottoned onto to do for a living because they were limited. They either spent all their time, devoted all their school time to playing football or boxing,
yeah.
or they were by nature limited to accomplish anything better. One has to be realistic, and I talk as an ex-boxer. And there are a lot of boxers that became multi-millionaires that couldn't have held down a menial job. And the same applies to professional footballers.
Sure.
They're great as footballers, but if it hadn't have been for kicking a football, they'd have been working somewhere for £100 a week, and been very glad not to be out of work.
And what happens then to, say, Michael Watson? Are they insured? Are they insured for?
No, they're not insured at all. I believe Michael Watson still has a case pending against the Boxing Board of
See, in
Control.
football, like, I can insure myself. You know, I can take out a policy. So if I finish football for a break or whatever, then I get paid out. I pay into it every month. Can boxers not do that? Is it too much of a risk?
They can, but they won't
Fortune.
find an insurance company that will take them.
So when they go into a fight, don't the promoters do something with it?
No insurance whatsoever. No insurance whatsoever. Boxers, there are boxers that have insurance. They pay astronomical sums, but most of them get turned down.
You've had a good career, as they say, a good innings.
Well, I've been going. I got a license in 1945 as a boxer. I got a matchmaker's license in 1950. So I've been going now for 47 years on the administrative side of boxing.
And I think Muhammad Ali's got a soft spot in your heart.
Well, I've got a soft spot. Number one is.
Does that upset you to see how he is now?
Very much so, very much so. But you know, it's really.
Should he have stopped earlier?
No, Muhammad Ali was very unfortunate. You could track down. I'm not a medical man, but I believe that you could track down all the problems that he has, the mental and physical problems. You could boil them down to 2 fights, and that was, one was the Foreman fight, and the other fight was Ernie Shavers. He took a terrible beating, and he wound up knocking Shavers out in about the 10th or 11th round. But he did it really on sheer guts. You know, he knocked out. He won that fight in exactly the same way as Ben beat McClellan, on sheer courage. But it did something to both of them.
Well, here's Mickey Duff. So thanks very much, mate. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure that you've educated a few of the boys watching on boxing.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Well, now that we got the series going, we had a right bit of luck. Charlton Heston came over to promote his film Alaska, and it just so happens that it was at the Dorchester. It just so happens that we went along there to interview him. I can remember doing the interview with him. I was a bit sort of shaky at first, but the geezer just relaxed me.
Okay, well, as you can see, I'm with the legend himself, Mr. Charlton Heston, down at the Dorchester.
Where? Oh, yes, there he is. Yeah.
Nice to see you not on horseback.
Yes, it's nice to be on foot for a change.
Yes, lovely. You obviously you're very famous for the Ben-Hur picture.
That's true. Yeah.
I watched that, and then I went to watch this film.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different.
Well,
contrast.
certainly different. Interesting thing which illustrates the enormous increase in the cost of making the film. Alaska is not, by modern economic standards, an overwhelmingly expensive film. It cost about $25 million. Serious money, but still not that much today. That's more than twice what Ben-Hur cost.
Yeah.
Which was at the time the most expensive film ever made. It's
and the scenery was absolutely spectacular.
oh
wasn't it?
yes,
So
wonderful.
I'm a country lad.
Ah yes, well that's about as pretty country as you're going to find.
Yeah, my father's been there and told me, and I was watching it.
yes,
I'm just thinking,
yeah,
absolutely
yeah,
magnificent.
you'd enjoy it if you had a chance to go there.
And did you do any fishing out there? Any hunting?
I have hunted in Alaska, but when you're making a film, you don't really have time. That's true. We went out one Sunday and fished, but you don't really.
And what was that?
have time.
Sockeye or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
but you don't really have time. You don't have time, you know, on the Sunday, it's the only time off. Usually you're looking at film too on Sunday and discussing the next week's scenes with the director and so on. So it's not much time for anything but making the movie.
And what about enjoying it? Must be still enjoying it.
Well, it's my life. I love doing it. Never mind enjoy, but making the
Is it
movie,
the last one?
Oh no, I hope not.
No?
What have you heard?
No, I'm just
No,
I'm just saying that it's
no
hell of a career
yes,
with
well,
70 films. And, you know, maybe one day, you know, maybe you'd just prefer
No.
to say, take it easy, guys.
No.
I'm just going to ride my horses.
No, not me. For one thing, I haven't gotten it absolutely right.
In all
Did
this
you ever
time.
play a perfect game? Absolutely
No.
perfect? No, it's impossible.
Yeah.
So is making movies to be perfect, but you can try. Every time you got to try.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what about the horses? Have you got a lot of horses?
No, I don't keep horses now. I've ridden a lot of them, and I've owned horses in my life.
Have you
but-
hunted over here? Have you been hunting over here?
Yes, one time. One time.
Did you enjoy it? Because
Yes,
they're trying
oh,
they're,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
trying to stop it here now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
got a big problem because
they're
I
trying to
like
stop-
hunting and shooting and
They're
It's,
trying to stop a lot of good things.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the polar bear was fascinating.
Isn't that
The,
bear something?
Yeah, it was absolutely fascinating.
We thought that we'd have a lot of trouble with it, though it was it was born it was just a few months old, and had lived its whole life. Its mother died when it was born, so the trainer was the bear's mother, really.
Yes.
And we thought there'd be a lot of trouble, but she was marvelous, never missed.
6 months old.
By the time we started shooting, she was about 6 months old. And to get up to the glacier, which would have taken half a day to climb up and be an exhausting climb besides, we had a fleet of helicopters. I think we had about 8, which were taxis.
Not all your own. You never took your own fleet there, did you?
No. But they were ours for the company.
Lovely, yeah.
And they'd take us up in the morning and down for lunch, back up, and down in the afternoon. And very good pilots. And riding in a helicopter is more fun than in a plane. It's because you're closer to the ground. You know.
And keeping fit, I know you.
Well, as you well
Tennis?
understand.
I have to, it's my
yeah,
job.
well,
playing
yes,
soccer.
But it's
to be
it's
in-
as
in the
important
stream as you.
for an actor. Even, never mind if you're driving a chariot. If you're playing, as I have, Henry VIII in the last 3 days of his life, most of the scenes in bed, you're still using your body and padded up and all that. But it's if you're not healthy, if you're not in condition, you can't use your body properly. And of course, I've done a lot of scenes where there are more physical things in it, horses and all sorts of things. But no, I would not dare be out of shape, even though I'm unlikely.
What is your favourite sport? What, tennis?
Tennis. Yeah.
Tennis.
It's
Not a golfer?
no golf. There's no exercise to it. You know. Again, I want.
Well, a
I
friend of
wanna-
mine once said about golf, it spoils a good day's walk in the country.
Yeah, that's right.
You have
And
to-
also, if you think of it, tennis is the only one-on-one sport. Even boxing, you've got guys in your corners, 3 or 4
Sure.
guys in your corner. But in tennis, just you and the other guy.
And you go to a little cabin you brought with you. The first money you...
Yeah, it's a sort of a lodge. It's up in Michigan on a lake with 1,200 acres of woods, and it's country not unlike in Alaska, except there's no mountains.
And is that your way? Do you like getting away from the media, the agents?
Well, I
cameras?
don't have that problem because when in Beverly Hills, where I live, we live on a ridge there, and I don't encourage people coming there except my friends. If someone's, well, for instance, might do this interview there. I shoot a lot of interviews there because it's easier than going down to them.
Sure.
But other than that, that's the last place I'm going to live. I love
And
that house.
what advice, say, for myself, I'm a grade A sportsman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going into presenting. I've just got a part in a film.
Good for you.
Yeah, in the East End of London. So what tips would you give me?
The best advice to actors was Spencer Tracy's: show up on time, know your words, and don't bump into anything.
When you was younger, read that your parents divorced at 10.
Yeah.
Mine were, I was 13, same thing.
It's a
Could you,
tough thing.
it
isn't
is, yeah. And I mean, I don't really like talking about it in front of the
No.
camera. I think it's a very
No.
personal thing. In your wildest dreams, when was it?
Well-
When was it starting to unfold for you?
In high school, I realized it was what I wanted to do. I won an acting scholarship. I went to Northwestern on it, and I studied there and met the girl I married before I went overseas in the war. But I'll bet you felt this way as a footballer, too. Even when I wasn't getting the parts, because when I came back, and I'm still 22, the parts I am right for, with 6'3" and broken nose and bass voice, I'm not going to get those parts, the parts that you would cast a kid in. But still, I never read for a part that I didn't think I was going to get. And I bet you have the same feeling on
Yeah.
a football field.
Yeah.
And that counts a lot.
I think it's
You've gotta
self-motivation. Yeah,
You've got to
self-belief.
believe.
I've
All this-
been a believer all my life
Well,
in,
you've gotta
in
be.
myself and
You've got to do it.
and the
I think
songs you
this
have.
is so ridiculous. They say somebody has a hard time, and they say, well, you know what that boy needs? Someone needs to increase his self-esteem. You can't do that. You've got to do it yourself. Nobody can make you feel better.
Well, it's been absolutely superb for me
Well,
to interview you, and
Enjoyed talking to you. Good
hopefully
luck.
you'll.
Good luck in this
make
next
it.
film.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Well, that's it. I know you're gutted. Some of you be gutted, some be laughing. Don't take that, Mickey. 97 looks good. We've got the Queen, Lady Di, Mickey Mouse, Pinky and Perky, and the Pope. So until next year, take it easy.